Hello and welcome to my video on using Yaktribe to build your Necromunda gang. Yaktribe is a website devoted to Necromunda and they have lots of great tools for Necromunda players to use. All you do is go to yaktribe.games and when you arrive on the front page here you will click on login or register. Very simple to do. I've already registered and you can see me up here in the corner. So to start with making your gang, click on the three bars, come down to Underhive tools. It's important that you choose Underhive tools and not Necromunda tools. Necromunda tools are meant for the OG Necromunda from the 90s. So you'll click on Necromunda tools. Now there's lots of neat tools here. I'm not going to get into them all today, but you'll just go straight here to Gang Manager. And there's a wealth of different gangs to choose from. It's got all of them. You can even do custom gangs. If you create your own thing for your campaign. Some of them, like you can see here, will have two versions. In the case of the Eschers, it's got Escher Got You and Escher Hob. The Got You stands for Gangs of the Underhive, which was essentially the original gang rules that came out in 2017. And the HOB here stands for House of Blades, which is the updated rules. Usually within a month or so of a House Codex or House of book getting released, Yaktribe will update it. So we're going to start off with making my Vansar gang. So we're going to go down here and go to Vansar House of Artifice. Click on Choose. Name of the gang. The Phase Spiders. So we'll then bring you to your gang screen. You can see the name right here at the top, and it tells me I have 1,000 credits to start with. You'll notice you'll have an entry for credits and for wealth. Wealth represents the sum value of everything in your gang, your stash, the number of credits you have on hand, the value of your gangers, etc. Credits is how much money you actually have in the bank to spend. So we'll start off by adding my first fighter. Click on Add Fighter. You'll get to name your fighter. So, Techmaster, Hakeem, and I'm going to make him my leader. So you click on the drop down and it will have all the different types of units available to you for purchase. Click on the prime here. You'll notice the button says purchase yes or no. Clicking no will purchase the unit for free. You would use that if during a campaign you received a gang fighter permanently for some reason, like through a lucky roll on the settlement. But I'm going to leave it clicked yes, so that way it will charge me. You can also see I've got 1,000 credits up here. Click Add Ganger, and he is now added to the gang. Shows his total value right here. And you can see here now my credits are down to 870. So let's go ahead and add a few more fighters. So we'll add an Archaeotech. It's one of the new units with House of Artifacts. You'll see some of these names that I've used before, my old gang, that they'll pop up in the autofill. We'll make Radium Mary the Augmech. Augmets are basically the same thing as your old champions. We'll add a Neotech. That's one of the cool surfboard dudes. See them all added down here as they go along. Every gang gets to start with one specialist. I highly recommend always take the specialist. That way you have a specialist in your gang right from the get-go, rather than trying to upgrade your gangers with experience. And how many do we have so far? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we'll add just a few more. We'll add a tech. Techs are basically your ganger for Vansar. And I'll add a couple subtechs. Subtechs are like your old school juves. The nice thing about Vansar subtechs is they can actually take lasguns, the basic weapon. Alright, so I've added my gangers. And you can add their equipment as you add them along, but I kind of know what I want, so I went ahead and added my gang first. And it's always a good idea to start with at least 8. Gives you a little room for if you take a casualty or two and have to have people sit out. Got 365 credits left to spend, so now we're going to go into editing our gangers. Every fighter needs a starting skill for if they are a leader or a champion. So we'll click on the little pencil there next to skills. Now, this will not, if you add a skill here, this will not count as an advance. I'll get into in another video how to do advances and level up and use the trading post between games, but we're not going to worry about that stuff right now. If you add a skill here, though, it's kind of like if they get one for free. Won't add to their value, won't count as experience. One thing to note is Yaktribe is not like some other list building apps. It generally doesn't tell you if your list is illegal. A lot of that's just because Necromunda is a lot more freeform, and arbitrators love to tinker, let people do crazy stuff, heroic deeds, etc. So just kind of keep that in mind when you take your first starting skill. It's got to be one of your primary skills. So we're going to go ahead and start my leader off with Trick Shot. It's a really nice one. Lets him ignore -1 to hit from cover. I could go Rapid Fire, but that tends to make people angry when you combine that with the Plasma Gun, especially since he's got that 2+ ballistic skill. And let's see, now you come over here, you click on that little, you saw I clicked on that little pencil next to equipment. So I will come over here. You can click on the drop downs on the various categories. Now this will only show you the equipment available to him in his list. So you don't have to worry about accidentally buying something he's not allowed to have. Just like when we were purchasing a ganger, you can see the number of available credits up here at the top. So I'm going to buy him some mesh armor. One important note, you want to make sure you click buy and not add. If you accidentally click add, that will give it to him for free without subtracting from your gang credits. And it can be kind of a pain to go back and get rid of those items without getting the credits. So we're going to click buy. Shows 1. And you can see the credits up above went down. And we'll give him a last pistol, something always good to have as a backup weapon. Again, we're at 345. And of course, what Vansar gang is complete without rocking the plasma gun. So we'll give him that plasma gun. 245 credits left. X out of that, and it will automatically update and show all the stuff in his equipment pool. Last thing you need to do is click on this little pencil next to loadout. Champ is not really a big deal for your gangers and your juves, but champions and leaders can have multiple equipment sets, and you can actually set that up right here on this screen. So we'll go ahead and create his first loadout. Plasma version 1.0. You just got to give it a name, click the pieces of equipment you want them to have, create loadout. And now it has been added to his loadout. You don't have to go back to the other screen to equip your other guys. You can just click them on the side right here, jump right to them. So the Archaeotech, they get tech skills as a primary, which most of them aren't very good, but Gadgeteer is actually really cool. You can add rapid fire to a weapon. You can add knockback, shock, couple of pulverize. And the cool thing about that skill is it lets him do it to every weapon that's plentiful. So I'm actually keeping this guy cheap because I've got plans for him later on. So we're just going to start him off with the last sub carbine. Gonna buy that. And we'll give him some mesh armor. Whoops, click to buy again. Here we go, load out. And you can name these whatever you want. It's just how I like to name them. There you go. And just so you kind of final word here before I go through and do my other, you've got two things on the side here for your print functions. When you're all done with your gang, you can click here on your gang sheet, and this lays out all your characters with or all your fighters with their equipment, their special rules, their skills they picked up, and it's got stuff where you can mark off things like kills, whether they went out of action, whether they're in recovery, um, etc., etc. Uh, some of these guys, you see that they've got more than one wound, you can tick their wounds off, so that way you can kind of keep track of their wounds. And it's got little flesh wound counters as well. So you can kind of use this to keep track of them during the game without having to have little tokens all over the place. And it's a good reminder for the end of the game who went out of action. Other thing is gang cards. Rather than having to write out your gang cards, this will print them out for you. And as you can see on the gang card, it puts the weapon stats, his war gear, skills, special rules. It can get kind of crowded. And the stuff it displays will be the one on the loadout you've chosen for this game. So you can either have this and just pull it up on your phone, or what I like to do is I'll print it out and I will actually put numbers next to all my gang cards. That way, rather than whenever something calls for like a random ganger, rather than try to shuffle cards around, I will just roll a d10 or a d20 or whatever, um, and use that as the method selection. So, it'd be like Techmaster Hakeem would be one, uh, Niles de Tierson would be number two, etc., etc. And the last two things, territories and rackets, depending on the type of campaign you're in. You can add your campaign. You can add territories. Uh, so you just click on the plus button here, and they have all the basic ones from the book, and then the ones that are starred are actually ones that I custom added. So you can go to the one of the other tools that you create custom equipment, settlements or territories, rackets, etc. Pretty cool. So you can add all that in, and then anything that goes in your stash, you got the stash right here. But other than that, you are ready for your first game of Necromunda. Hope this was informative, helped out, and happy gaming.